I love holidays. And one of the best things about holiday, for me at least, is being able to read. Now, I spend most of my life reading, but holiday time, you get to choose what you read. And my wife Ruth and I always have a competition, firstly to see who can read the most books, but then we have a discussion and a vote on the book of the year. And we agreed on the book of the summer of 2017, and it's Terry Waite, Taken on Trust. It was written 25 years ago, and in fact it's 25 years exactly to the anniversary of his release, and a brand new edition of that book has just been published, and we both reckon it's the best book we read this summer. Now for some of you, you may say, I know the name Terry Waite, but remind me of the details. Terry Waite was the envoy to the Archbishop of Canterbury. He represented the Archbishop in negotiating the release of hostages that were being held by various groups in different parts of the world. And then, ironically, in the process of trying to negotiate the release of hostages who were being held in the Middle East, he himself was taken hostage. And for almost 5 years, he was held in captivity, 4 years in solitary confinement. And so this very avuncular man, used to travelling and meeting all kinds of people from heads of state through to terrorists, suddenly found himself imprisoned, most of the time chained to a radiator, not able to read or write or have any communication with the outside world. For me, reading the book was a really valuable reminder of two important spiritual lessons. The first is to do with the book of Psalms. It so happened I was reading through Psalms at the same time I was reading this book, and I realised how Terry Waite in various places sounds like the psalmist. You know those psalms that say, God, where are you? Have you forgotten me? Can't you see the mess I'm in? Why don't you answer my prayers? And there's a real painful realism in the way that Terry Waite talks about moments of deep despair when he was in captivity. And the reminder to me was how prayer needs to be real. Instead of making sure that we get all the sentences right and neat, it's far better to be honest to God and to speak from the heart. But the second lesson is how he talks about the experience of confinement, separation from family and loved ones. Although it was horrendous and very, very painful, it was a rich time of learning. He talks about how in the solitude, he learnt about stillness. He learnt about requiring extra resources that somehow came into himself because he was confined. He had to be still. Let me quote to you what he says right at the very end part of the book. Suffering is terrible. It is painful and can leave lasting scars. However, it need not destroy. In many cases, it's possible for something creative to emerge from the very depths. I would not wish to go through again what has been described in this book, but I'm not sorry that I did. I have learned a great deal and hopefully will continue learning until my dying day. What a powerful reminder that God never wastes suffering. The pain of his children is something that in his hands can be ultimately productive.